this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from After Fauve. And After Fauve has a follow-up question to our last vlog, which dealt with the idea of the influence that inanimate objects can have on people and things around them. And in that vlog we talked about the energetic properties of things such as stones and plants, etc. And how this energetic property, either naturally occurring or created through magically charging the object, can in fact influence people and things around it in various ways, but not necessarily in the manner of the ring from Tolkien and The Lord of the Rings, but in more subtle ways. After Fauve's follow-up question to this is, what about other kinds of objects whose power does not necessarily lie in their energetic qualities, but perhaps their psychological qualities? And he references the Shroud of Turin and similar religious artifacts, controversial artworks, pop icons like Linus's blanket from Peanuts, and so forth. And my first answer to this is that this is a wide range of potential items, and I will probably answer it in a more limited fashion, but yes, I certainly agree that items can have more than one kind of effect on people. And in addition to their energetic effect, they can certainly also have a psychological effect, which may or may not also affect energetics. And to use religious artifacts such as the Shroud of Turin as an example, if a person has a strong faith in something, it can certainly have a power in their life, whether it has any inherent power of its own or not. And it can certainly have an effect on them, whether there's any inherent reason external to themselves for it to have that effect or not. As long as there is an internal reason, it can certainly have an effect. People give power to things outside of themselves all the time, and sometimes this is good and sometimes it's bad in terms of its effect on the person. Sometimes giving power to something external can allow you to use that external thing as a source of strength or a source of energy or a source of inspiration, and that is certainly a good thing. Other times you can put that power outside of yourself and never really have access to it again and be at the mercy of your preconceptions. However, in that kind of eventuality, you're not at the mercy of the thing outside yourself, but of the power that you've put on it, the way that you're reacting to it and looking at it. And so the power to change that resides still within yourself. So yes, objects of all kinds can have psychological influences on people. They can have an influence on their energetics because of the way the person looks at them or interacts with them, even though the object itself may not be highly energetically charged. Now, it is worth saying that everything that exists carries an energetic charge. Some of these are very strong, some of them are not. And items which have been created often carry a charge from the creation process, from the person who created it. So artworks can also carry energy from the artist, as well as sometimes from people who have interacted with that work after its creation. And all sorts of residual energies can be part of an object in this way. That's one of the reasons that we cleanse objects of their residual energy when we're using them magically for the most part. Certainly, these kinds of objects can have energy and influences far beyond whatever their natural energy may have been. Now, because After Fauve referenced the Shroud of Turin specifically, I thought I would take a couple of moments to speak to it, basically as a separate question. And I don't know that anyone has ever asked my opinion of the Shroud of Turin, but I do have one, and my opinion is that it is a work of art, which was very well done, and nothing more. And I know there's all kinds of controversy about it, and if you look at that controversy, it's very instructive to see just how far things like scientific method can be stretched to meet someone's needs in attempting to prove a case which doesn't really stand up. There are a number of things that are pretty much incontrovertible in terms of why this is an artwork as opposed to anything else. And probably the most important ones are these. The first is the style of beard. The figure in the image is wearing a very particular kind of forked beard that was popular in the High Middle Ages, but really is not seen previously. And although it's occasionally been revived since, again, you don't really see it previously, and if you've seen it anywhere in an earlier period, I would like to know when, because I'm pretty well versed in history and I have never seen it before the High Middle Ages. It certainly was not prevalent in the ancient Near East, particularly in the Greco-Roman period or any other. It is a very specifically European style, again from the High Middle Ages. And that pretty much dates the object to the time that it was brought forward, which was, I believe, the middle of the 14th century, which was a period in time when this style of beard was certainly still a thing. And the second equally and actually much more important reason that it pretty much must be a work of art is that the figure is flat. If you look at it, it looks like a painting. It does not look like something which has been draped over an actual body, because when a piece of fabric is draped over something, it literally drapes over it. And if an image is then imprinted on the fabric through whatever means, it will reflect the distortion of how the fabric draped. That is not the case with the image in the Shroud of Turin. It is basically like a painting. And there are a number of theories as to how it was produced, but it was almost certainly produced using a bas-relief, a shallow sculpture probably about 2 inches deep, which would produce that kind of image. It has been reproduced using heat to scorch the image into a similar fabric, and there are a number of other possibilities for how it was produced, but it could not have been produced by a fully 3D image of a person, let alone an actual person, because the image would be distorted because of the way the fabric would have laid. And this is part of what I mean when I talk about critical thinking skills. Anyone who has simply accepted the idea that that shroud is genuine has not stopped to think about the fact that it's fabric that was on a 3-dimensional body if it were in fact genuine, and could not have produced the kind of image that it bears. Only something like a bas-relief could have produced that sort of image. So, a little extra to our question. But to go back to After Fauve's main question, yes, there are more ways that objects and artifacts can affect a person than simply energetically, and those other ways can also affect them energetically. Because when you have a deeply emotional or spiritual interaction with an object, it certainly does affect your energetics. So those would be my thoughts. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Reverend Don, super omnibus of incantations and invocations for all occasions. Mary Ann Kay and I created this massive compendium of magic and artwork for you to use in any way that you would like. There are literally hundreds of spells and hundreds of illustrations, which can be mixed and matched and used in many different ways. Check it out now at witchghoulstore.com.